You're listening to the Control System Integrators Association's Talking Industrial Automation podcast, where you get to know the people that make modern manufacturing and processing possible. Now, here is your host, Tony Veroeven.
Thanks for downloading the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. This is a show to help you get to know the people that make modern manufacturing and processing possible. I'll be talking industrial automation with CSIA System Integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve manufacturing and process challenges, and how they became successful in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, I hope you will enjoy the insights CSIA members will bring to this podcast. In this episode, I sat down with Eric Schaefer of Stone Technologies. Stone Technologies is a CSIA Certified system integrator. Eric and I sat down at the 2017 Rockwell Automation Fair in Houston this past November. We had a great conversation about his involvement in CSIA, how important certification is to his clients and his business. You'll learn how he started in this industry and much more. Thanks for listening. Enjoy getting to know Eric Schaefer of Stone Technologies. This is Tony Veroeven with CSIA. I'm the Marketing Manager and Exchange Community Manager with CSIA. And I'm sitting here with Eric Schaefer of Stone Technologies. Eric, thanks for sitting down with me.
You're welcome. It's good to be here.
We're here at the Rockwell Automation Fair. How's it going so far? What have you seen here?
A lot of good people, a lot of good traffic, a lot of good conversations with our customers that look for improving their business.
Yeah, so you guys actually typically exhibit here, right? So you're trying to get in front of end users.
We've been partners of Rockwell for almost since the beginning of the company, 22 years ago.
Wow, okay, great, yeah. And that's probably kind of right away, maybe talking about CSIA. You've been involved with CSIA for a long time as well, right?
Yeah, I think 2000 was our first conference, and maybe 2001, somewhere right around there.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And then also, you've also actually very involved. You've been on the board, right?
Well, no, Don was on the board. Don was on the board.
Okay.
Don was on the board. My partner's on the board, and then I've been on part of the best practices committee for a couple of years.
Tell me what the best practices are for people listening and talking and watching.
To me, best practices is one of the primary benefits of CSIA. I mean, it's really what we govern our continuous improvement program around. It's a collection of what we do and what's the best way to do what we do. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of geared towards system integrators and how to run your business, how to handle HR issues, how to manage finances, how to manage the business, and how to manage project delivery and the services that we do to make sure that we're doing it the right way to kind of give our customers the longevity of a good partner. So
if you're a customer, you're an end user, you're a manufacturing plant of some sort, why do they care? Why are they caring of that you're adhering to these best practices?
Twofold. One of them is that we're doing things in a way that's going to secure the business. So if we're putting in a system, they're banking on us to be there to support the system afterwards. Mm-hmm. So they're investing in that system, and because we're writing software for them, it's an important part of the deliverable what we give them. If we do it and we're not around in 3 years, I mean that's part of the system. It's like some piece of their system going out of date, so they're at risk at that point. So they want to know that we're running our business in a good, secure way, and we're going to be in business for a lot of years. The other nice thing about it is it's good for our employees. I mean, if we're going to be in business forever, I mean they're trusting that they're going to have a job for life if they can. Mm-hmm. So what we deliver is our people to the clients, and by having retention of our employees, by giving them a challenging environment, by doing things in the right way, our customers benefit because our people stay with us. So because what we deliver is our people and the solutions that they come up with, having them with us really benefits the client.
So you've seen like less turnover as far as employee turnover than maybe as
indirect or direct benefit of?
I think part of our retention is that we actually work for really good clients. We work for clients that really want to be best in class in their manufacturing industry. So we offer challenging projects to our employees to deliver new technologies or fairly new technologies to the clients that they have. So there's challenges for them. There's good customers to work for. So we all enjoy working for certain people, and by having a whole stable of good clients that allow that, I mean, they enjoy their work. And then we also, by keeping good people, everyone likes to work with really smart, good people, and they want to be a part of a team, and that helps, keep them as well. So I think that certainly comes to how we run our business, but I think how we run our business is based heavily on the best practices CSIA puts together. Yeah.
Have you seen either directly or being able to measure, more successful business, like more revenue, win more jobs? I mean, do people ask you about that, or is it more of like an indirect effect, like, hey, I know this is helping me, but it's really kind of transparent or invisible to a client?
We've never measured it, so I don't have a KPI that says we've seen market improvement based on CSIA's best practices, but I do know that by having that target of being audited every 3 years, it is part of our core, part of our continuous improvement program, and it really pushes us to improve where we might not be focused throughout the years. So we know, everybody knows they want to fix the last thing that went wrong in a project, but how do you fix the things that are okay, but they need to be better? If you always focus on the things that went wrong, you don't really improve the mediocre things.
Right.
And having that audit every 3 years really pushes us to have a well-rounded continuous improvement program, and we focus on every part of our business as opposed to just the lesson learned from the last thing that went wrong. We've all been part of the hot stove discussions at CSIA Executive Conference, and those are certainly ones we want to avoid, but there's a whole lot of things that we need to improve upon to make our lives more fulfilling, do better for our clients, and make sure that we never have a hot stove story.
Right. And so Eric's talking about, at our conference, we have a session that actually talks about integrators get together and tell about their failures, which is sometimes a little bit embarrassing, and maybe, but we've all had those, right?
Oh, yes.
We share that, and so it's a learning. And so if you can share with another integrator, failure, it saves somebody the next heartache. And ultimately increases the professionalism of all integrators, so it helps everybody out, right?
If you don't have one of those stories, you really haven't been challenging yourselves. You've lived in a pretty safe environment if you've not had a story where you've been burned by the hot stove. So,
right? Isn't there some sort of saying about you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs?
Yes,
sort of thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yep. But we all know that when your mom told you that not to touch a hot stove, most of us did.
Right.
So even though we hear the stories, we do kind of push the envelope.
Right. Exactly.
And might experience some version of that same story. So it's good to share that failure and to have that discussion and also know that we're not the only ones that made that dumb mistake.
Right. So let's. I'm assuming maybe there's a system integrator who's not certified, maybe hasn't heard of CSIA, but they're a successful business. Why would an integrator who's 30 years in, 20 years in, even consider joining CSIA and maybe employing the best practices, given that they're already successful? What can they get out of that?
Well, to me, the benefits, like I mentioned earlier, the benefits of CSIA are multifold, but one of them is the ability to talk to your peers, and the hot stoves is a good part of that, but just being around people that do what we do, it's quite different than a lot of other engineering firms or even service organizations that supply to manufacturing. But being able to talk with another integrator and talk about issues with hiring, finding good talent, how to manage a contract or what to worry about in a contract, not only what's in there, but what's not in the contract. Those are all things you learn by these conferences and getting to know your peers and having these discussions. And CSI brings us together and says, okay, these guys do similar businesses, maybe for different industries, but they do the same type of service for the end users, and that gives us that wealth of knowledge for getting together. Second fold is CSI best practices. manual, best practice and benchmark manual. It's a collection of how to do things right, and it's not one person's perspective. It's a committee's over years. We're on version 5. Right now we're in beta version of 5 and getting ready to release it to final release. And that's a collection of probably 70 people had instruments or had involvement in that development of that document. So that's all of those ideas pulled together in a single book that tells you how to do our business right. Mm-hmm. So it gives you that experience level from everyone else into how you should do it right. And we all know that we only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know. And this thing will tell you what you don't know. So it'll help you avoid those pitfalls that could end your business, could have you lose your best people by having an episode or having an event that you can't handle or didn't foresee. It won't prevent it. I mean, those things happen. But it certainly helps you be prepared for them and make sure that you don't lose your business over one of those events.
Right.
And really, I mean, our employees trust that we're going to do things in the right place, in the right way, and be there for them. And that's why we do it. That's why we follow it. And like I said before, that three-year renewal of this certification is a good benchmark to make sure that we're continually improving. And as we grow, as we get larger in more employees, we're going to experience different issues. You're not going to know that. I mean, when you grow from a 20-person firm to a 50-person firm to 75, that's the first time you've experienced that. So how do you handle and foresee what the problems you're going to have? And one of it is to be talking to an owner of a 50-person or 100-person firm and ask them how things are going for them at the conference and through networking and peer groups. And the other one is to adhere to the best practices because They have different levels of maturity that they cover as well.
Right. So it sounds like maybe a lot of it is at least helping you recognize and manage risk in a lot of cases.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to know what success looks like. That's part of it as well. If you haven't been there before, you don't really know when you're there. So it gives you kind of that vision of success. What is the right practice?
Right. How did you get here, Eric? How did you get into what's your background? How did you get to be a system integrator? I've always heard that system integrators take there's no school of system integration, at least. There's a couple degree systems out there, but what was the winding path that got you here?
I always look at system integrators. I always describe them, I don't know if it's accurate, but I look at it as part engineer, part artist. So it's kind of a unique type of person that becomes a system integrator. But I started out as a pure electrical engineer and project engineer at a power plant, coal-fired power plant, and we've got our first DCS system that was for a DI water system. And I was all excited that we were going to get to program and develop this system, and it was there for commissioning, and it got shipped to the site, and we got to play with it and took the training course. And my boss said, yeah, that's good that you know it, but we're going to let the engineering firm do the design. Mm-hmm. And they're going to do the development. You're going to project manage it. And I said, I'm a year out of school. I mean, I can't project manage it. It's something I have never done. And I said, I'm going to be the approval of these documents. I'm going to look over their shoulders to make sure they're doing it right. I've not done it before. And they're doing the fun stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to do paperwork. And I was like, man, I'm on the wrong side of the table here. So the interesting part is my partner at Stone Technologies, Don Ulrich, had just started working for a big design build firm in St. Louis. He was starting an integration group, and a friend of mine knew Don and said he's looking for good engineers. So went over and interviewed, and Don hired me, and Don and I have been working together almost 30 years now and doing system integration work. Yeah, it's been a fun journey, and I still love it today. And part of it is helping businesses make their product better, but it's also understanding how they make their product and understanding what it takes to be better in a certain food or beverage client.
Right.
So it was more about looking over the fence and saying, wait, that guy's doing something fun, cool, and it's still fun and cool.
I love to hear that. Yeah. So what are some of the challenges I guess you see right now in your business right now, either in your business or the industry? What are some of the things that you see kind of on the horizon? And
well, I mean, availability of information is critical right now. I mean, it's, in the past, the engineer or the subject matter expert was the holder of the information. So our clients relied on us to convey information to them. Now it's all readily available. I mean, you can search anything, you can find anything, you can get as much information. So now the issue, I think, is what they call it, analysis paralysis. There's so much information. We find a lot of clients and a lot of people have trouble making decisions because there's too much information available. And our clients have that as well on their manufacturing floor, that there's just too much data. So the challenge is kind of converting that to information, putting context to the information and helping them make decisions with what they have, and narrowing it down to give them the information they need, not all of the data that they have available. So that's, our business has changed, not just solving a process control issue, but kind of how do they run their business and could they run it better? So it's all geared towards that and solving a business problem with a technical solution.
Right. I hear a lot about big data and data analytics. So it seems like someone who can start to wade through all that, see some trends and things like that. Maybe even predictive analytics, right, that will help find some potential issues maybe that aren't apparent on a HMI or a red light that pops in.
And all of it, I won't say all of it, but a big part of it is wading through the enormous amount of data that they have available to them and giving them to the piece of information that they need. The analytics part of it is going to be critical for us. So if we don't provide that as a service, we'll still survive, but we'll be left behind a little bit. I think that's something that we'll all have to get better at. It's certainly a need our clients have right now is, how do they do that? How do they get to the root cause of a condition, or how many times have that condition happened, and what was the result of it, and how do I prevent it from happening again? Not analyzing the history, but how do I predict the future?
Excellent. Last question. Now, I worked at CSIA for a couple of years, and I always have a challenge in telling people what you guys do, what the organization does. What do you tell lay people what you do?
That's a hard one. I do it a couple of ways. One of it is we help our clients solve their business issues with a technical solution. So we're kind of the technical consultant or technical advisor. So we kind of look at what their business problems are, maybe even help them define that with that front-end consulting, and say, here's the challenge you have, how best to go about overcoming that challenge. And we, being engineers and being system integrators, we tend to come up with a technical solution. Sometimes it's a operating procedure that they could do different. Most of the times it involves some sort of technology that either presents the data in a certain way, allows them to wade through the enormous amount of data that they have, are automated to where it takes the potential variance of a product out of the equation. Mm-hmm. So we kind of help them solve that with a technical solution. So the other way I equate it to it is, it's essentially, if it really is a layperson, if you look at Microsoft Excel, you get that product, and it's the same thing we get from our vendors. We get a product from them, and once you develop the formulas, the macros in that Excel spreadsheet, that's what we do. We kind of develop the core program within that envelope, that's this Excel spreadsheet, and we deliver them a working model and it solves a problem that they have. It either calculates it controls an oven, it controls a dryer, a mixer, a reactor. It helps them clean their process safely by keeping the chemicals in a specific area, and they don't have to handle chemicals, and we automatically transfer it. But it's really, that's what we do. And then we take it from there all the way in through commissioning, and we help them start it up into production trials. At that point, we like them to take ownership of it, and we want to deliver something that they can maintain themselves. And for us, it's one of our business models is to have them come back to us the next time they need something done. So, repeat business, repeat customers, happy customers tend to ask for us by name again and give us the next project that's come along.
Excellent. Eric, Schaefer of Stone Technologies. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Tony.
If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd also appreciate a like, share, and comments about what you hear. Visit CSIAExchange.com/podcast for a full list of episodes, to subscribe, or to contact us. We'd like to hear what topics you want to learn about and who you'd like to hear from. Music provided by bensound.com under a Creative Commons license. This is a production of the Control System Integrators Association, CSIA.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Read the Industrial Automation blog and find and research qualified system integrators at CSIAExchange.com. For more information on why your system integrator should be CSIA certified, visit controlsys.org, controlsys.org.